Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, with some unfortunately bad news that we thought was going to be coming around Kolton Miller. And I'm going to be breaking down everything that you need to know around number 74. But let's face it, whether it's good news, whether it's bad news, I am always going to be here to give you the Raiders news that you want to know. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and to everybody out there, I know the Raiders are struggling. I am frustrated too. Please, please, please do not give up on the Raiders Report. Because when you do, it only hurts me, it only hurts Chat Sports, it only hurts everybody here that I rock with. So please don't give up on us. Keep watching our videos. Let's go to the news that rolled in this morning, and it's coming in from Ian Rappaport. Offensive tackle Kolton Miller, who limped off on the team's final drive, is believed to have suffered a high ankle sprain, sources said. He is having an MRI, but that is potentially a multi-week injury. When you hear that a player is dealing with an injury, and when you hear a player is dealing with an injury that they have dealt with before, that's why this is bad news. And quite frankly, it's coming at almost one of the worst possible times. He does mention that Kolton Miller limped off. Kolton Miller also, though, was carted off the field. And that's why this is bad news. Because to me, when you hear a player that they get carted off, it's concerning, obviously, right? Like when you're watching the NFL, if you're playing fantasy football, whatever you're doing, if you hear the cart is coming out, you're thinking worst case scenario. And for a player that is as big as what Miller is, and I mean big as the position he plays, left tackle, also the injury he sustained, having ankle injuries, it's a fickle mistress. And I say that only because when you have one ankle injury, sometimes they have an ability to keep on popping up time and time again. But he suffered the right ankle injury. I'm not going to lie. We actually thought it was a shoulder injury because when he was down on the field, it looked like he was holding his shoulder, and there was a lot of concerns around it. Pete Carroll confirmed that he was dealing with a sprained ankle yesterday. Also, there's been multiple reports today that have also confirmed that Kolton Miller is dealing with that sprained ankle. Because it's a high ankle sprain, I think you're going to have to anticipate that he's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks is what I am going to guess. This could be a situation where the Raiders decide to put Miller on that short-term IR, which means he is out a minimum of 4 games. And I think if you're the Raiders, you don't risk it. And when you think about the upcoming schedule, if you could show the upcoming schedule real quickly here, you think about the Raiders' upcoming schedule. If I'm the silver and black, I'm bringing back Kolton Miller at the earliest, week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And that's if he's dealing with that high ankle sprain, because he's not going to be able to come back quick enough, and you don't want to rush him back too quickly, knowing that you have a bye week in 8. I think the earliest that we see number 74 back out there on the field, week 9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's go to the next reason here of why I think the earliest is week 9. It's those past ankle injuries. And he's never really missed significant time because of the ankle injuries, but he did injure it last season, week 9 up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Also, that right ankle. He was in a walking boot at times last year, though he didn't miss a game. And if there's one thing that I'm always going to give love to Miller about, it's he's a tough mother effer. And he's played through a lot of wicked injuries throughout his entire career, and he's always shown you that if he's healthy, he's going to go out there and play. Because there's a difference between being injured and hurt. And when he's been hurt, he's gone out there and he's played. When he's been injured, obviously he hasn't been able to play. But Miller also, though, dealt with ankle issues back in 2020. And knowing that he's had these ankle issues in the past makes me feel like the Raiders are just going to play it a little bit more safe. And knowing that the Raiders are going to play it a little bit more safe, all I can really do up here right now is sit back and hope him a speedy recovery, and sit back and hope that number 74 gets out on the field sooner rather than later. And honestly, that's all I want Raider fans to do today. I want you to show some love to Kolton Miller, our left tackle that's been playing at a level like he's been playing at a all-pro left tackle level. He's played like the best left tackle in the National Football League this season because we need him on the field. The offensive line needs him on the field. And if you bleed silver and black, keep spamming those 74s down below because I really, really hope Kolton Miller can get it out on the field sooner rather than later. Coming up next here on the show, though, we got, unfortunately, some more reasons why this is bad news, because it doesn't just stop at Kolton Miller. Kolton Miller being injured, it impacts the entire offense. An offense right now that is dealing with its own issues, no doubt about it. Now, for those of you that do not know, today's show is sponsored by Prize Picks. And let's face it, you and I, we make decisions every day. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. On Prize Picks, how you play, it's totally up to you. If you want flexibility, choose a flex play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if one of your lineups isn't perfect. If you want to see my lineup for Monday Night Football tonight, reminder, there's 2 games, Jets-Dolphins, Broncos-Bengals. We will be live here on the Raiders Report. This is my lineup that I'm rolling with. It's 10 to pay $60. It's a flex play. If 3 out of these 4 picks end up hitting, I turn that $10 into $20. I'm going to be honest with you. I have had the most success on Prize Picks picking 3 to 4 players and doing a flex play. It's just where I've had the most success, and it's where I'm going to continue to roll. So if you plan on watching Monday Night Football tonight, get a lineup in. If you're planning on watching the Raiders and you're like, man, watching the Raiders win or lose every week is making me want to pull my hair out, I feel you. Guess what? Get a lineup in. You're going to have fun watching something. So bottom line is this. If you want to download the Prize Picks app today, I encourage you to do it. Just use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Let's keep it moving here on why the Kolton Miller injury news is bad news for the Raiders, and it's bad news for Kolton. The offensive line struggles. Now, I know the Raiders played much better yesterday against the Chicago Bears. Crazy stat. The Raiders allowed 51 pressures the first 3 weeks of the season. The Raiders yesterday against the Chicago Bears allowed only 3 pressures. Here's going to be the problem. You have an offensive line that, let's be honest, one good game, I'm still concerned because the one good game was up against arguably the worst defensive line in the National Football League in the Chicago Bears. So you take a struggling offensive line that finally had a good game, and now you got to mix it up again. You got to have to switch up the chemistry. You're going to have to switch up the continuity, and that means that Brennan Carroll has to do something smart, which I don't know if Brennan Carroll is able or has the ability to do anything smart, quite frankly. But when I sit back and I go, okay, what are the different offensive lines that the Raiders could potentially roll with? I think that the potential offensive lines could be in a multitude of different ways. That's on me. And I'm sitting back here and I'm looking at the different offensive line options that we could roll with. We could go with this offensive line option, which quite frankly I think might be the number 1 line option that the Raiders decide to go with because they put Stone Forsythe out there on the field. Maybe the Raiders decide to go with this option here. Maybe they decide to put Charles Grant in there at left tackle, and I don't know if that's going to be what they do because I know they want to give Charles Grant some time to develop. Maybe they want to put DJ Glaze at left tackle and just really switch this whole thing up because they went out and they signed an Alex Kappa. Then they want to put Kappa at right guard. Dylan Parham played right tackle at Memphis, and then Jackson Powers-Johnson played left guard before. I don't know what the options are, but with no Kolton Miller at left tackle, that is only going to hurt our offensive line, which sucks because the offensive line finally played a good football game. Let's go to the next reason here why this is bad for the Raiders. There's no great replacements. We don't have a good replacement on our roster, and that's a frustrating statement because Stone Forsythe, who you signed this offseason, he's bad. I don't think you guys realize how bad he is. And if you want my comp for Raiders fans that might click in your head, Brandon Parker. And Brandon Parker was a swing tackle that never quite worked out. But would you want Brandon Parker protecting Geno Smith's blindside? The answer to that is no. Could the Raiders maybe decide to go and Charles Grant, somebody that they drafted in the 3rd round? If it was up to me, I would throw him in there. And I say that because I would rather a young player that we drafted in the 3rd round learn by trial of fire. And I say that because Kolton Miller, if you go look at Kolton Miller's first year, okay, Kolton Miller gave up 16 sacks as a rookie. Think about that. He gave up 16 sacks as a rookie. But he learned, he got better and better and better. I look at right now and I go, would I rather have Charles Grant play left tackle, who we drafted in the 3rd round, or would I rather have Stone Forsythe? I don't want Stone out there. I'd rather learn with Charles Grant. I'd rather go that way because, again, I don't think, in my mind, I find it hard to believe that Charles Grant would be as bad as Stone Forsythe overall, but at the exact same time, could the Raiders just move around other pieces of this offensive line? They're not going to go out and sign anyone. I don't think they're going to go out and trade anyone. I know today there was a trade that happened between the Houston Texans trading Cam Robinson to the Cleveland Browns, which that could have been a left tackle move that you made. But this team has shown me they're not going to be aggressive. They're going to do with what they have on the roster. And I think right now when you look at this Raiders roster, there's 2 options at left tackle. It's Charles Grant, it's Stone Forsythe. Though, I want to know what you guys have to say. What should the Raiders do at left tackle? Do you decide to roll with Charles Grant? Do you roll with Stone Forsythe? Or you're like, Mitch, somebody else has got to play left tackle. Who would you start? Let me know down below. For me personally, I would play Charles Grant. And I understand that he's even not ready. Let's go to the final news here of why this is bad. Losing Kolton Miller is definitely not going to help out Geno Smith. And if you're the Raiders, you got to be able to figure out every way possible how to get Geno Smith on track. You got to be able to figure out what makes this offense click. Chip Kelly needs to be able to show that he can protect Geno. And, Geno, he needs some help. And I think that help that he needs is within himself because he is seeing ghosts. And when I watched the Geno Smith tape last year compared to the Geno Smith tape this year, he just doesn't trust himself. He clearly doesn't trust the offensive line, and he's uncomfortable right now in the offense that he's in. But because of this left tackle issue now, he's going to be even less confident in the offensive line. And I'm concerned that we're going to get the same Geno Smith we've been getting because of the offensive line issues that we've had. The biggest reason, though, of why this Kolton Miller move is, again, not move is not the right word. The Kolton Miller injury is kind of the biggest kick in the nuts. Obviously, it's because we lose our left tackle. Obviously, it's because our offensive line finally got going. But it's because you need to be able to properly evaluate Geno Smith. And after a horrific start to the season, you need him to start playing his best football. I find it hard to believe that Geno Smith is going to be playing his best football without Kolton Miller protecting his blind side. But hey, what do I know? Here's what I do know. I'm going to be live a lot of the times this week, and I'm going to be live a lot of the times throughout the entire of the year. I am always going to be live on Raiders Game Day. I am always going to be live every Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific. Then I'm going to be live for Monday Night Football. Every single Monday Night Football game, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific. Then I'm going to be live every Tuesday. I'm going to be live for every Thursday night. If the Raiders keep on stinking, and you're like, Mitch, I love this show. It is a mental refresh for me. It's a way that I can hang out with a bunch of Raiders fans and have a good time. At this point, these are the shows that y'all should tune into because I can't guarantee the Raiders are going to win on game day. But I can guarantee Raider Nation's always going to show up like they've shown up today. Like, seriously, huge shout out to Suavemente. Huge shout out to Roseanne English. And you know what? Huge shout out to Louie because he just said Kobe for throwing one down for my man Noah. Bottom line is this. Kolton Miller, I'm hoping that he's healthy. I'm hoping that he heals up. But from what it sounds like right now, high ankle sprain, I expect him to return at the earliest week 9 after that Raiders bye week. We got a lot of question marks around the offensive line, and we got a lot of question marks regarding Geno Smith. And this injury to Kolton clearly will not help out Geno.